I never thought a simple ride home would change the way I saw everything, especially not like this. It was just a regular Thursday, a busy day at work, and things had been going as they usually did. My boss had asked me to stay late that day, to finish up some paperwork. I didn't think much of it. I was used to working late, and honestly, I didn't mind it. I was getting the job done and moving things along, but what happened after that? It was something I never expected. My boss's son, Noah, had come by the office to pick up his dad. It was around 9 p.m., and I was ready to head home, so I thought I'd call it a night too. But as I was walking out, Noah offered me a ride. He was the youngest son of my boss, probably in his early 20s. A really kind-hearted guy, a bit shy, but always polite. I had no reason to decline, and after all, it was on the way. We made our way to the car, and I settled in for what I assumed would be a quiet ride. The car was clean, and there was this familiar smell of new car leather, mixed with his cologne. It was nice, nothing too fancy but comfortable. Noah started the car, and we began our drive. There was this light background music playing from the radio. The kind of music that doesn't demand attention but just fills the silence with pleasant noise at first. The drive was easy. We talked about the usual things, how his day had been, how my work was going. Just typical small talk. It was nothing out of the ordinary, but as we drove, the conversation slowly started shifting. It wasn't much at first, just Noah talking about school and how things were going with his friends. But then, something about the way he spoke started to make me feel like he wanted to say more, like there was something on his mind. I glanced at him, and for the first time, I noticed how tense he seemed. His knuckles were gripping the steering wheel so tightly. His jaw was clenched, and there was a nervous energy about him that I hadn't seen before. It wasn't like him. Normally, he was so easygoing, so laid back, but tonight, something felt off. Is everything okay? I asked, trying to break the tension. He hesitated, glancing over at me for a second before his eyes shifted back to the road. Yeah, just tired. I nodded, not pressing him further, but I couldn't help but feel that something was up. After a few minutes of silence, Noah took a deep breath, and then he said something that completely caught me off guard. Actually, there's something I've been meaning to tell you. I turned to face him, a bit startled. I had never known Noah to open up like this. He had always been a little reserved, even with his family. So, for him to say that, it immediately piqued my curiosity. What's on your mind, Noah? I asked gently, hoping he'd feel comfortable enough to share whatever was weighing on him. He swallowed hard, like he was trying to work up the courage to speak. Then, in a soft, almost hesitant voice, he said, "It's about my dad." Your boss. I could feel the air in the car shift. This wasn't just some casual conversation anymore. There was something deeper here. Something important. I leaned in a little, my attention fully on him now. What about him? Noah glanced at me again, his face serious. I don't know how to say this, but I don't think my dad is the person everyone thinks he is. His words hit me like a ton of bricks. I wasn't sure I had heard him correctly, but his expression told me this wasn't some offhand remark. There was real weight behind what he was saying. What do you mean? I asked, my voice steady, even though my heart was racing. Noah paused for a moment, then spoke again, each word seeming to carry more weight than the last. I found out some things about his business, the way he runs things, the stuff he's involved in, and it's not what he's telling people. It's not the man everyone thinks he is. He's been hiding it for years. The silence in the car was suffocating. I could barely process what he was saying. My mind was spinning. My boss, someone I had always looked up to, someone I had trusted, was hiding something. And Noah knew about it. My brain couldn't quite catch up with the magnitude of what he was confessing. I don't know if I should be telling you this, Noah continued, his voice cracking a little, but I don't know who else to talk to. I'm scared, honestly. I'm scared that if anyone finds out, everything could fall apart. I felt my heart sink. Noah, what are you saying? What do you think will happen? I don't know, he said, shaking his head, but I feel like I'm caught in the middle of something that's way bigger than me. My dad, he's been involved in some shady deals. And I'm not talking about little thing stuff that could ruin everything if it ever got out. I was silent for a few seconds, letting his words sink in. Why are you telling me this? I mean, I don't know how I can helm. Noah's grip tightened again on the steering wheel, his knuckles white. I don't know what to do, but I can't keep carrying this around. I thought if I told someone, maybe I could get some advice, or maybe just not feel so alone in this. I didn't know what to say. This was a bombshell, and part of me was struggling to believe it. My boss was one of the most respected people I knew. He had always been kind to me, always treated me with respect. But now, Hearing Noah speak like this, it made me question everything. Could it be true? Was there something I had missed all? This time we drove in silence for a few moments, both of us lost in our thoughts. I was trying to process what he had said, and Noah seemed to be lost in his own world of worry. Finally, I spoke again. Noah, I don't know what's going on, but I think you should talk to someone who can help you figure this out. You don't have to carry this burden alone. He nodded slowly, his eyes still on the road. I don't know if I can talk to anyone else, but I'm just so scared, you know? What if it all comes crashing down? I understand, I said, my voice soft but steady. But keeping this inside is only going to hurt you more. You need to find someone you trust. Someone who can guide you through this. Noah didn't respond right away, but I could tell he was thinking about it. Finally, he spoke again, his voice quieter now. Maybe you're right. I just don't want to make things worse. We continued driving, but now the car ride felt completely different. What had started as a casual drive home had turned into something much deeper, something that would stay with me for a long time. Noah's confession had shattered the calm I once had about my boss, and now, I was left wondering how much of what I knew was real. As we neared my house, I could see the weight of the situation settling heavily on Noah's shoulders. He pulled up to the curb and stopped the car, but neither of us made a move to get out. I turned to him. Noah, I hope you find a way to figure this out. You don't have to go through this alone. He gave me a small, grateful smile, but it didn't quite reach his eyes. Thanks for listening. And not judging me. I'll be here if you need to talk more. Take care of yourself. Okay with that, I stepped out of the car, the night air cold against my skin. As I walked to my door, I couldn't shake the feeling that the world had just shifted beneath my feet. What would happen next? How deep did this go? And what was I supposed to do with this new truth? Noah's confession had shattered everything I thought I knew about my boss. And now I was left with more questions than answers, and the scariest part, I had no idea what was coming next. I walked into my house, the door closing softly behind me, but my mind was still racing. I couldn't shake off the weight of Noah's confession. It felt like the walls around me were closing in, and I hadn't even fully processed what I had just learned. My boss, someone I'd trusted, someone I had worked for, was not the person I thought he was, and Noah, his son, was stuck in the middle of it all. I tossed my keys on the table and sat down. Trying to steady my breath, the silence of the house seemed to press down on me, making everything feel even more intense. I ran my hands through my hair, trying to organize my thoughts, but there was just too much going on. I had so many questions, so many thoughts, but no answers. Why had Noah chosen to tell me all of this? Why me? Why not someone closer to him, like his mom or a friend? Was he looking for help, or was he just desperate to unburden himself? I couldn't stop replaying everything he had said. The idea that my boss had been involved in shady dealings was almost impossible to believe. It didn't make sense, but Noah's sincerity was undeniable. I stared at my phone, wondering if I should reach out to him. I wanted to offer support, to let him know that I was here if he needed someone to talk to. But at the same time, I was scared. What if I got too involved in something that wasn't my business? What if, by offering help, I was unknowingly stepping into a dangerous situation? The night passed in a blur. Sleep didn't come easily. Every time I closed my eyes, my mind would flash back to that car ride, to Noah's face when he spoke about his dad, and to the fear that had been so evident in his voice. I kept thinking about how he said he was scared of what would happen if the truth came out. But what truth? What exactly was my boss involved in? The next morning, I found myself back at work, but the air felt different. It wasn't the same. There was this heavy cloud hanging over everything. I tried to focus, to dive into the work I had to do, but my mind kept wandering back to Noah. I wondered how he was holding up, if he was okay. And then there was the question of my boss. How was I supposed to act around him now? Was he really involved in all of these things Noah had described? Or was Noah just caught up in some misunderstanding? I didn't know what to believe. But I knew one thing for sure. Couldn't ignore this. Noah had trusted me with this secret, and it wasn't something I could just forget about. I had to decide what to do next, but even as I tried to think through my options, I kept coming back to the same thing. Could I really keep working for a man who might be hiding something so big? Could I stay loyal to someone whose actions, if exposed, could ruin everything? The more I thought about it, the more the weight of the situation grew. I wasn't just questioning my boss anymore. I was questioning everything I thought I knew about trust and loyalty. If Noah was right, if his dad had been hiding something this huge, then what else had I been blind to? Had I been fooled this whole time? And what did it mean for me now? I couldn't keep living in uncertainty, something needed to change. But what could I do? I wasn't in a position to confront my boss directly, not without more information. I didn't want to jump to conclusions, but I also couldn't ignore what Noah had told me. The truth was out there, but it was buried deep. Hidden behind layers of lies, I decided to take it one step at a time. Maybe there was a way to find out more, to get to the bottom of this without blowing everything up. But I knew that if I was going to find the truth, I couldn't do it alone. I needed to talk to someone I trusted. Someone who could help me make sense of all of this. But as I looked around the office that day, I realized just how isolated I felt. Everyone seemed so caught up in their own lives, their own work. No one had any idea what I was going through. No one could understand what it felt like to have everything you thought you knew about someone shattered in an instant. I wasn't sure if I could share this with anyone, not yet. As the day went on, I found myself more and more unsure of what to do. Should I confront my boss? Should I talk to Noah again? Or should I just keep my head down and pretend like nothing had changed? The questions kept coming, but I didn't have any answers that evening. As I sat at home, I started to wonder if I would ever feel the same about my boss again. The trust I had once placed in him felt fragile now, like it could crumble at any moment. And even though I didn't have the full picture yet, something told me that the truth was far more complicated than I could ever imagine. And so, as I stared out my window into the dark night, I knew one thing: the road ahead wasn't going to be easy. No matter what I decided, everything was about to change, and I had no idea how it would all unfold.